welcome to Where Eagles Soar. Tonight we have, of course, the wondrous Kiler Davenport, and our prodigal son, Tony Z, is on the board with us tonight. So it's going to be a fun night. How are you guys doing?
Hey. I'm here. How's it
going? Yeah, and for those that have tuned in for the first time, and I know there's a lot of you tonight, just begging for my comments on Mr. Brian Honeybear. Anyway, that'll be a fun segment. We're going to do a bit of a comedy segment tonight too. This is one of the other hosts tonight, Kate of Gaia. So happy to have the new people aboard. And boy, are you in for a treat if you haven't heard one of our shows. We bring up the truth hardcore. They have fear porn and all the rest of the porn. We have truth porn, and ours is way sexier. What do you think, guys? Absolutely.
That song at the beginning, was that you?
I wrote and performed that. Yes.
That is you singing?
That is me singing. Yeah.
I'm floored.
Why? That's what I did before I did all this silliness, trying to save the planet stuff.
I'm on my way up there. We're going to do some music together. We got to do some music together. No,
I lost you there. I didn't catch the first thing you said.
I said I'm on my way up there. We got to do some music together.
Oh, I love it, absolutely. And we got callers calling in, so it's going to be a bit of a fun night. And that's good because we want, we want everyone involved. And a perfect example of that. I won't get into it right now. We're going to save it for a bit, but there was a rather prodigious email that Santo got from a rather sleepy and nothing but pity I have for this individual, but an email that he got, and I was talking to him. It was about 4:30 this morning. Yeah, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but anyway. And we were talking about it, having quite a giggle. It was quite a piece. I mean, the guy put some effort into it. As far as I'll probably read the email just to give everyone listening a bit of a chuckle as to what kind of stuff we very rarely have to deal with. But new policy, guys. Anybody that wants to send an email, good and or evil, we're posting it, and we're going to make you famous. We're going to bring you into the light for all the good you're doing, and we're going to bring you into the light for all the not so good you're doing. So it's a win-win situation. So this individual, I got to tell you, I think Santo posted it about 14 hours ago. There's already well over 400 posts on it already. And it's beautiful to see, and then this is what Santo. I talked to him a little while ago about this as well. And what is beautiful to see is, Santo standing and everyone around him. And me too. I'm there too. So I'm standing with him. And of course, I was part of this email, and the stuff that was this guy wrote about me, I thought was actually the really funny stuff. But anyway, we'll share that in a little bit, and we'll go from there. So I just. Anytime, Kiler, music, that's what I did before this. I was a general contractor. That's what paid for my musical bills. Been a writing, singing, performing songwriter for, over 3 decades. And I was actually signed in Nashville, and I wouldn't sell out my songs, so I came home. I couldn't do it.
That song really gets me going. I'm just floored. That's an uplifting song, and your voice is unbelievably powerful and passionate, and I'm really proud of you.
Well, thank you. I mean, and that's the thing too. I have a link. I'll put it. I put it up on my Facebook every so often. And by the way, I always toss out the invitation. Anyone that wants to tag me, I've still got a bit of room on my friends for everybody. And if I ever run out of room, I'll just create a KateRenee.5 part 2, and we'll keep this thing going. But Kate.Renee.5, that's KATE.RENE.5. And thanks, Brian. Wow, I made a whole bunch of new friends today. It was beautiful, and that's turning the dark into the light, and it's a wondrous effect when you really get it going. And we got lots to talk about. It's been another kind of crazy week, of course, with a new Jesuit Pope, and what that entails, and the fact that Tony, it was 200 drummers of the Swiss Guard that were playing in London, was it?
Yeah, something like that. It was basically playing the war drums, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were playing the war drums in London. You know, and what are the Jesuits, right? They're Vatican military.
They're Vatican assassins, basically.
Yeah.
Depending on how high you go, because obviously going higher and higher is where we love to go, because it gets into the outer realms of the solar system, let alone the atmosphere.
Yeah, you know.
This is why they need to keep everybody fighting each other, and this is why they need wars, distractions, and all the crap, because they're hiding technology that makes Star Trek look like a nursery school lesson. And
exactly.
We've got this shit, guys. We've had it all along. We've just been fooled by all the bullshit, and that's what the Jesuits are hiding, which is why that they need everybody totally and utterly distracted.
Oh, absolutely. And you guys don't mind. You know what I'm like with callers. I like opening the lines and letting people jump in and out as they will. There's 2 callers in here right now, area code 419 and 401. Gosh, they look familiar. So I'm going to open the lines up. Just be mindful that when I open your line, that if you're not talking, please mute, because if we get any background noise, it steps all over the show and turns me into a very pissy bitch.
What's new?
Yeah, I was going to say, just ask Tyler. He'll confirm that in a heartbeat.
You walked straight into that one, Kate.
No, I didn't walk into that. That was a gate that I opened to say, come on in. No, it's all, hey, listen, that's one of the things about Saturday night. And I got to tell you, I so look forward to Saturday nights, because it is hell-bent for leather, let loose kind of show, and you never know where we're going to go, how much intensity we're going to have, and how much love we're going to share. And Kiler knows I love him dearly, so dearly. And Tony knows too. You know, and Santo and everybody listening, I love you all. Hey, let's get the job done. I mean, I saw today.
I've got my spike collar on and my short leash right now.
Attaboy. I love the short leash. A little kinky for me, but you know, it's all good. But apparently I'm already taken. Apparently I'm Santo's wifey.
Well, you can just tie me up in the backyard and whatever.
And go.
Feed me, as long as you give me a small bowl of water and some food, I'll be okay out there. Just,
right. But you're a vegetarian, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, see, so it would have to be a gourmet bowl of food and obviously distilled water. And
you got it.
We'll make sure we take care of you. So I'm going to do a shout out to the area code 419. If you have any questions or comments, if you want to jump in, here's your moment, so we can get you on the air and get you introduced. Then you can hang out with us and let's play radio talk show.
Oh, okay. This is Jim.
Hey, Jim, how are you doing?
You know who I am.
I know who you are. Good to have you, my friend.
Yeah. I tell you what, last 3-4 days, I tell you what, I've been on highs and lows, being happy, being pissed off, to wanting to just strangle anybody. And I don't know what's going on. I'm just kind of a wreck right now.
Well, I tell you, Jim, you're not alone, because a lot of us are feeling that. There's a lot of mirrored energies right now. I think the Mayans put it that we're in like a hall of mirrors at this point, so you're going to get a lot of bouncing of energy. So welcome to the Up-Down Club, and don't worry, hey, as it is written, so it shall be done. And the script's already written. We're just following through now. So,
and one of the things that's pointing out to you is that you were one of the ones that actually noticed.
Yep, well done. And area code 401, I think I know who this is. Hello? Area code 401? I guess we have someone that's shy tonight. It's not
Hello?
who I thought. There you are. Hey.
Yeah. Well, I already did my spiel. I'm Gloria from Corrupt Rhode Island.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. There's a few numbers that come up that I recognize the area codes, and then, oh, yeah, okay, I know that one. So good to have you. So we're going to have some fun tonight. Good crew, people. We got some, hey, look, we got 5 radio hosts tonight. This is freaking awesome. Okay. So where do you guys want to start? Tony, you want to start with? We'll get into some of the Jesuit and maybe outline some of the Jesuit Pope things, and I mean, Santo and I covered the Zodiac a bit last night on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go. There's no point in getting involved in all the ups and downs and ins and outs, because that's exactly what they want. You know, they'll confuse the living shit out of you if you let them. Again, I always like to go straight for the throat, and it is the fact that, you know, all of this technology sitting there, we could be living lives of kings and, you know, incredible lifespans and traveling the universe and all of this stuff, and this is very, 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 very real. But the fact is, we kept fighting each other and, you know, disease, poverty and all that sort of stuff because we allowed them to do it to us. So, I mean, that's basically where we've got to go. It doesn't matter what they're called. It doesn't matter, you know, what denomination or what, flipping what over where. It's all bull. We've got to see it for what it is, finally. It's, you know, we have been lied to as a people. So, now let's get some answers. Who's responsible? You know, where are they? What are they doing? What are they planning? And where are they going to lead us if we allow them to do that, which we're not going to. It's that simple, really. You know, fly around all over the place with little details and stuff, but it is that simple. We've been conned. They used universal law to con us, which is part of universal law. If a cat can, you know, out-trick a mouse and catch it, then that's legal under universal law. So the universe says if you can trick these idiots, as in the human race, then that's fine under universal law. And that's precisely what they've done, and they've used all the tricks in the book to keep their grip on the human race for, I don't know, maybe millennia. The fact of the matter is now we you know, I'm pretty, you know, the fact of the matter is we're beginning to see it now. And the more we talk about it, the more we spread that information, it puts it out there into the consciousness. Forget your politicians, forget your petitions, forget going out in the streets rallying, forget, you know, shouting at your next door neighbour and all that crap. Just look at who's really responsible. And that's the point, you know. That's what we need to start doing. Look at what's really going on here. And that's practically, you know.
Yeah, and you know, that's what we do every single night of the week. And that's for all the new listeners as well. We run 7 nights a week, guys. Normally it's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, but because Critical Mass Radio, our wonderful platform that we have, thank you, Paul, Lisa, and the crew, is based out of UK, so I have to, which is kind of fun, you know. I gotta for 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Normally I have to book it. If it's Thursday, I have to book midnight Friday, right? Because it goes back 5 hours. So it's always fun juggling that around, and with daylight savings, yeah, I know, it's fun, eh? So I've got to go a day in advance to get the day behind, and then of course I can't overlap days, and it's just crazy. But the other fun part is daylight savings that we just had. So of course the UK is still in, you know, the winter settings, so they're still, you know, running the normal clock. And with me here in Eastern Standard, the show starts at 8 o'clock, and I don't have a choice on that. You know, if I go 1 a.m. You know, Friday, it'll book it for 1 a.m. Friday. So midnight is it's just bizarre. Anyway, so just for the confusion right now, until March 31st, until the clocks switch in the UK, we'll be running from 8 to 10, but normally we're 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. Adjust your world clock accordingly. So there you go. And thanks for tagging me earlier on that, Kiler. I forgot to tell you. Anyway, blonde Irish, get over it. Am I alone on the radio here, guys, or what?
No, I was waiting for Carla to jump in. You there, Carla?
Well, we got Gloria and we got Jim. So, and of course, we lost Kiler. He fell off. Oh, there. Not really, not with us. We get bumped every which way but loose, you know.
Kate, seeing you're so in tune with technology, and obviously I'm not, you need to explain something to me that's... I was with a girl that on her BlackBerry, this map popped up with this green dot, and the green dot was right on the state police barracks, and the green dot was moving closer to us. Could somebody tell me why that popped up on her BlackBerry cell phone and what it means? Because we were in her house, and the black dot was out in her back field. I mean, the green dot.
Oh, well, it sounds to me like, hey, Tony, you're more apt to answer this, but my first instinct is, oh, my, someone's got a tracker.
Run!
Someone's got a tracker in their phone.
Well, they're all tracked.
Yeah, they are. They're all tracked.
Right, but this one was, I've never seen this before. It just popped up at 12 midnight, and it looked like somebody was walking because the green dot was right in her back field walking towards the house we were in.
Oh, well, isn't that interesting? Maybe somehow the technology flubbed and they're telling us exactly where they are instead. That's pretty funny, actually.
Isn't it?
Tony, your thoughts on that? That's kind of crazy. I love it.
Yeah, it's a new one on me, but I mean, like I said, I mean, all these phones are tracked. They always have been. Nokia developed the first phones, which was a military black ops program with Japan, and it was a military-funded program. And it, you know, again, there's not one or two things these things do. They do a lot of different functions. Tracking only being one of them. But no, it's interesting. The technology we've got in these phones is ancient stuff. It's only that we think it's the latest technology. It's not. They're light years behind what they've really got. But they want everybody way behind so we'll never catch up. And that's the point. As soon as we know that they're way ahead in the future, you know, you can just you need to rethink what it is that you actually know. It's like, well, if that's the truth, then what about all of the other aspects? You know, and you need to revisit technology as you thought you knew it, because it's not what you think it is. Just because they give you this, oh, it's the latest BlackBerry, isn't that cool? Well, the truth of the matter is, yeah, it might be quite cool, but if you only knew what the extent of the technology they've really got, it's incredible.
Well, yeah.
And also the ability of our own DNA, which is way beyond technology.
Yeah, I was talking about this same sort of subject last Saturday with Kiler, and we were talking about, you know, people that get OnStar, you know, and what do they do in the media? Is they sell it. Well, if you lock your keys out of your car, moron, I've done it, right? With a phone call, you know, we can open your car doors. Oh, is that beautiful? I'm so glad I have that. Oh, by the way, if, you know, for any reason we feel that we want to stop you, you know, just because we can, we'll turn your engine off, too. Why didn't they don't put that in the ad? You know, but that's the fact, right? What they do is they soft sell all this garbage to get people convinced that, you know, somehow RFID is a good idea because you can locate your child. Yeah, but that kind of technology in everybody means, well, I mean, we're all trying. Here's the thing, guys, and this is why people really got to lose the fear. You got to lose the fear. You are known where you are. You have no privacy. This is an infinite consciousness universe, and there are those that know how to tap it. They know who and what you are. They knew that we were coming in to mess their game up. That's why they make our lives so miserable. Okay. And they put challenges to see if we can stand up to it. Are we going to break? No, we're going to be strong enough to bend. We are made of the finest steel, and you can bend us as hard as you want, but that steel will never break. And that they're afraid of. People actually waking up to that. So as soon as you understand that you are tracked and traced and followed and cataloged and listed and bonded and everything that you can ever imagine in terms of what you thought your privacy was, no. You know, these movies where they have devices that can see through walls, you know, if you remember that, what was it? It was that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
That was, 10 years ago.
I know. And they were talking about pulse. It was a pulse weapon, right? And it had X-ray ability to look through. That stuff is old. It's old technology.
And heat tracers.
Heat tracers, blood tracers. I mean, they can. Your DNA has a frequency. They can track it.
Exactly. This is the point. This is why they want your DNA, people. So they don't even need to chip you.
Like the ones that for the kids, for if they go missing. The DNA, they clip their hair? and they put it in this card, and they get the fingerprints of the kids.
Those will all be catalogued. Yeah, all that'll be catalogued. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all cataloged, and you are put in a bonding warehouse along with the rest of the cattle. Your inventory, guys. Time to get over it and say, I'm tired of being inventory, and stop playing in the game. I call it the Whore of Babylon game, where the mark of the beast, your name, is your cataloging issue, and every time you use it, you are committing fraud, thus dishonor, so they can do whatever the hell they want, universally speaking. So it's time to lose a name, win the game. It's easy.
Well, that's like they did that, 20, 30 years ago. That's called the IQ test. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was one of their first little experiments right there.
You know,
you have to fill in the dots where you just guessed to just get through the test?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's what I used to do. It's like, screw this. I hate this.
I'm going to smoke a joint, just get through this.
Yeah.
Perfect. And we have Kiler back.
Yeah, I'm here. My whole system went down. The whole outside internet system just crashed.
Boy, it looks like we're going to have a good show tonight if they're doing that already. Holy,
that's really amazing though how it happened. The whole damn thing just went down. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, the other night here, I had every street light around me went out. It was like, really, guys? Can you hear Patrice when I say that? Really?
Oh, yeah.
I love when she writes that in the emails because I can hear her say it. Really? Seriously? Is this the best you got? Come on. I know we beat you, and that's the thing. Once you get here, this is the destination at this point of the game for me. Once you get into that beautiful circle of truth, that invulnerable, totally untouchable circle of truth where you will not yield at anything to relinquish truth, you become untouchable, and they really, 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 really hate that.
Oh yeah, I chase the damn bastards now. If they're following me, I turn right around and follow them.
Yeah, and I want to share this too. Everyone knows that Dean's out. Dean Clifford's out. Thank goodness. And he spent 26 days in. And I got to tell you, what Dean was doing inside. And you know what Dean's like. He doesn't take shit from anybody. And well, he's Irish. Get over it. And he's a Gemini. What are the odds? But take shit from anybody. But I'll tell you what really, really, really scared the living shit out of the system was the amount of the public outcry. They all of a sudden realized that they're not just messing with one of us now, they're messing with all of us. Mm-hmm. That's where we become the leaderless leaders. Isn't that cool?
We are the leaders.
Exactly, yeah. Each and every one of us. So there are
Yeah, this is why if you stand up and you start to use your voice, you are empowering everybody.
Exactly.
So the more will stand up, and the more will stand next to you. Again, it's the grasshopper situation on the movie when you let one ant stand up and the whole lot will stand up, and then you'll have no chance of controlling them. Reference what was it?
Brzezinski.
The Bug's Life.
Yeah,
Bug's Life. Yeah. And I can't even say it. Brzezinski. Yeah, standing up saying, basically what he was saying is we can't control everybody. It's easier to kill 1 million people than control 1 million people. And you think they're kidding? Well, no, look at the amount of rounds they've bought, etc.
Yeah, anyway, well, all the more rounds for people to, stock up on when they take over the storehouses.
Well, the point being, at the end of the day, consciousness can't be shot.
No. You might drop a body or two, but sorry, that consciousness. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, that untouchable thing of, circle of truth you stand in. They can't harm you because if they do, they bring the wrath of the universe against them. That's the joy of it. That's when you become untouchable. It's not the fact that you become all-powerful. What it is you've brought in the all-powerful beside you, and they know it.
Yep. Absolutely. This is the point, It's empowering. It's the empowerment, and we've all got to taste it, and we've all got to explore it, and we've all got to express it.
Exactly.
But before you can do that, you just get over it. You've got to lose the fear, and you've got to go, no, Like our beautiful callers today on the show, they're like, hey, screw them. You know, I'm going to phone in, I'm going to express my opinion. Fine, beautiful. Thank you. Is there any more, please? Can everybody else stand up? You know?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I was just waiting for others to jump in.
Yeah, I was going to say the ACCAW, a friend of mine, John Deegan, is a member of the ACCAW up there. Y'all might want to check that out if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you already have. Anti-Catholic Church activist worldwide. John Deegan's a good friend of mine. He's a friend of Kevin Annette's, and they work very closely together in Ireland there, right at the heart of everything. John's been in this forever and ever and ever, and I guarantee he's going to be in it until the end. So you might want to check John out at Anti-Catholic Church Activist Worldwide, and I'll keep you all posted on what he gives me. I got a whole slew of things here I'll put on Kate's page after the show. So.
Excellent. And another site I've already posted. I'll post it again. We had a couple of individuals on the show earlier this week. John Carton was one of them. He has a website you can go to, www.waterwarcrimes.com, and talk about cataloging. And just in case you didn't catch that show, one of the unique things about John is that he's an ex-lawyer, and he was working, of course, on the cases of these water crimes. It's better to listen to the show where he explained it. But one of the interesting qualities of his work is that every time he filed paperwork into a court, a judge died. The tally right now is 12. I kid you not. They're often their own because they know too much. You see, because as soon as low-level judges, and I'm telling the lawyers and the judges, the ones that aren't in the loop, guys, you are cannon fodder, especially on the inside, because you've given your oath to them, and they can do whatever they want to you. That's why people like when John, he made it abundantly clear that he gets it. The simple fact is, I asked him about his oath, and he says, well, I swore allegiance to the Queen, but she's not really the Queen, so I didn't swear an oath at all. And, she's not upholding anything of any sort of value, so it's an empty oath, and he's absolutely correct. And in that light, he's free and clear in the universal sense. And that's all people have to do. You got to understand, when you swear an oath to a corporation, which is what it is, you're not swearing an oath to anything. But you got to come to your own understanding on that. You've got to, see that for yourself and make it your own reality. Because until you do, you're your own lock, stock, and barrel. But another interesting individual, he has got some great links. Another link I do want to share with you, if you want to start exposing the Masons within the RCMP and in the courts. Beautiful website, www.canadarevenue666.com.
Oh, my.
There you go. But that's another expose site that is releasing names. And what happened with this email is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. What we have to do is anytime anything negative comes into our universe, all we got to do is expose it. And it's not like we haven't got the tools for it. We have Fascist Book, we have the internet, we have Skype, we have, I'm not on Twitter or the other ones, but we have these tools. And you've heard me say it on the show many times. Those listening for the first time, well, here it is. Use the tools, don't be one. And that's all we got to do, and we got to do it with a sense of humor, because we can get angry, and boy oh boy, we've done that many times, and we'll do it again. But the bottom line is, the more we can throw positive energy into this dark and bring it into the light, the faster it runs. Because the last thing somebody wants to hear is their own name mentioned with their crimes. Because it brings them out in their own neighborhoods. We got to expose every one of these wrongdoers. I can't even call them idiots because they're smart enough to know better. I mean, everyone knows when they're harming somebody. Everyone knows when they're doing something wrong, unless, of course, you're a psychopath, at which point you're not human anymore. You've lost that privilege. And that is a privilege. Who was it was talking about this? I think it was Brett. Brett Stillings, Tony, maybe you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but he was saying that there are we are one of 3 species in this universe, the humans, that are so incredibly powerful and so wondrous in our abilities, and we have been so clamped down for so long, and that's the only thing that's empowering these archonic dark energies, and they're the ones. The only way they can control us is if we say, okay, I'll do that, and we do it in ignorance. So it's time to get the knowledge, where we take that knowledge and we take it into ourselves, and then we make it a wisdom by applying it, and we put the experience behind it. Gloria, I know with what you've been through, and Jim as well, Tony and Kiler, myself, all of us, and the vast majority, if not all the listeners, we've all been through our own personal hells. And that's why we're here, because we've had enough, and it's up to us. Like Gloria, you stand like so well. A lot more of us now, but Patrice was quite chuffed to hear you on the show the other night. She listened to right through to the very end. We went about 20 minutes over. The clock actually ran out on us. As usual. Yeah, the blog talk gave us a boot because we ran over time, but yeah, no problem. We'll keep going until the clock stops, and that's how it works. But what was that guy's name again, Kiler? I know I'll get the link from you and post it.
John Deegan. I put it up on one of your. I'm having trouble with these computers, so I'm trying to be careful. I put it up on one of your. Tony's looking at it there, I think, on one of your Skype sites. I wanted to mention for all of you who are interested in something that we don't talk about a lot, that the Catholic Church has been involved in for many, 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 many years, and they're investing billions of dollars into this technology, is transhumanism. And if you're not familiar with transhumanism, it's this supposedly intellectual, they butter it up by calling it a cultural movement that affirms the possibility and the desirability of fundamentally transforming the human condition by developing a widely available technology, basically to turn everyone into superhumans. And I was looking at this vid the other day where they've transplanted the monkey's head, and I actually called a friend of mine who used to work at NASA, and he was involved in that experimentation. And this poor monkey was just sitting there looking up, and they were feeding it some fluid, some Ringer's lactate, and they'd actually transplanted the head of this monkey. And I asked him, I said, how far in advance are we with this? Really? And he said, well, can I call you on another line? And I said, sure, no problem. So he called me on a scrambler line, and he said, we've already transplanted human heads. This is an old deal. This is not, I said, well, how many of these people do we have out there? And he said, well, according to my investigations into the Catholic Church, we have over 7,000 of these drones out there that are biohumanists. And then I got to doing some more research, and y'all can do it for yourself. You can look up cultural movement, look up intellectual, look up human condition. These are all tag words. Look up eliminate aging, enhance human, look up emerging technologies in transhumanism, and also the very most important word is post-human. And you'll see what the different factions in the Trilateral Commission and the different corporations that are connected to the corporations out there that are in the Trilateral are working on this technology along with Big Pharma to actually turn all of us into computers, and they're already doing this. A neat video I'll put up, and I can't do it now. I'm too stupid to do this alone. I don't have a producer here, but I'll put it on Kate's page where you can see them actually autopsying the brain, what I used to do, take the brain out, lay it on the table, slice off little pieces of the synapses and the neurons, and get little pieces and put them on a tray or a petri dish and put them in the ice box and feed them once a week. They stay alive forever. You feed them, and then you use them to put into the computer. The way they're doing this, they're taking the human brain, they're taking little slices of it, they're putting it on computer chips now. This is all verifiable, by the way. You can look at it after the show if you're interested. They're putting the little pieces of the brain onto the computer chip, and they're feeding the little slice of brain out, the dendrites out to where it would normally be soldered. If you were a computer tech, you would solder these lines on. If you look at your computer board, well, they're feeding the dendrites out into the soldering positions, and then they're allowing them to connect with each other after they do a major DNA breakdown and analysis as to what part of the hippocampus or what part of the temporal lobe they came from, or the occipital or the parietal, and then how these all connect together to make, like, movement, for instance. They're actually flying an airplane now, a drone, that actually kills people with a human brain community that's been brought into the refrigerator. They take it out, they've put it into a computer, and they actually fly. Now, this is all on video. This is all verifiable now technology. They're actually flying the drones with these brains, these human brains. Yeah. So this is very, very interesting to me. I've been delving into this. I've probably read over 3,000 pages in the last 8 weeks. Because it's so interesting to me. What their ultimate goal is to put us all into computers. Now, as far as we know, there could be many people already in these computers. What their ultimate goal is to go to a singularity. Go ahead, Tony.
What I was going to say is, number one, people have seen Star Trek, so they understand what the Borg is all about, which is transhumanism. Number two, people who've paid any attention will understand that they want us all chipped, which is bloody obvious if you've taken the time to look. And number three, if you've really done some research, you'll find out about Morgellons disease. And then you put all those three together, and you don't need to take the people apart. You just give them Morgellons disease.
I find what Tony's saying is wonderful, because what Tony's saying is they do not have to take anything apart. What we're seeing now, if you'll look online, what we're seeing is the tease to get us used to this. My friend from NASA, I won't mention his name tonight, I may get him to come on. Tony's talking about this is the tease they're showing you now, which most people don't get up in the morning after coffee and say, honey, I'm going to go look at transhumanism today and read 3,000 pages. They just don't do that. So most people don't know what the hell transhumanism is. And it's one of the most fascinating, in-time, real technologies that we should all be concerned with more than probably anything else that we're doing today in the controversy of conspiracy networks. We should probably be focusing on transhumanism as the number one thing over everything, because it involves cosmology, astrophysics, quantum mechanics, nanotechnology, robotics, neuroscience, psychology, philosophy. It involves every science that you could possibly imagine and then some. And these beings are already in the laboratory. If you guys saw Coma, I don't know if you saw Coma, but go get it if you didn't see Coma. And go see the Body Snatchers. Everything that's there is, like Kate always says, in plain sight. They've given us the information. They've given us what they're doing. We just didn't see it. And these computers that are in Dallas and Utah that I talked to Kate and Tony about on the show, I don't know, 3 or 4 shows ago, they're doing this already. They've already downloaded the human brain, and now this particular technology is going to only be available to people who can afford it. And they're probably going to eliminate the rest of the population, or they're going to put some people in as slaves or drones within the virtual system that they're building with the human brains merging with the computers. So that's what I have to say about that. And if anybody would like to know more, I'm going to do a show on this, I think, tomorrow night. I'll put my links up later.
All right. What time are you doing the show tomorrow night, Kiler?
I do about 15 shows a month now, and they always start at 7 and go to 9, and that's blogtalkradio.com/Kiler Davenport Live. I believe it is. Yeah, you can find me over there on my page.
Well, make sure that you get the link on my Facebook. We're doing the 8 to 10 Eastern Standards.
Okay.
7 to 9. Because you're on Pacific, yes?
Yeah, Pacific.
Okay, so 7 to 9 Pacific time, or is that Eastern?
Pacific time, yeah.
Okay, so that puts it at 10 until midnight Eastern Standard. So, yeah. Well, hey, listen, if you want to jump on tomorrow night, I'm kind of going to do an open forum tomorrow night. Again, we seem to be having a lot of fun with these, and where people are jumping in, and we're starting to get listeners that are, regular listeners and new ones that are coming in and sharing their experiences. Because, hey, listen, I'm in my part of the world, you're in yours, and we need to get word from everywhere. We need to get word from everyone. I urge everyone all the time. And hey, true to form, how many times pissed you off, Tony, by opening up all the phone lines?
Exactly, but I mean, it's all about sharing the conscious awareness.
Exactly.
Yeah, another interesting bit for you guys in Canada. They're opening up the borders. I know this is old news to Tony, but to some of the listeners, they don't understand this. They're opening up the borders with our police and our fire and our homeland security. They're literally training on both sides now. They're equalizing everything. It's kind of a mini, micro, New World Order kind of thing they're doing. And the public in Canada is really obsessed about it. They're really going nuts over this. They don't like the idea. It's beyond the trade agreement. It's beyond NAFTA. It's beyond everything because it deals with military-industrial complex and law enforcement. So we don't really know what they're up to yet. I'm sure Tony's got some ideas. I've got my ideas, but I really don't know for sure what they're up to yet. But when I find out, I'll surely let you know. But that's a scary thing. Canada's pissed off. The Canadian people, obviously, and some of the Parliament is pissed off in Canada. They're very pissed off that this is happening right under their nose.
Yeah, we got so many people, and I'm talking in law enforcement, military, and government that haven't got a clue about what's really going on,
right.
And they're kept deliberately dumbed down. Right. We have another caller, so I'm going to bring them in as well. Area code 970. I'm going to open up your phone if you can. If there's noise in the background, whatever. If you have the ability to mute, please do so. But I'll open up your phone and join the fray. It's going to watch Saturday night here on Where Eagles Soar. Who we got on area code 970?
Hi, Kate. Hi, Tony. It's Paul.
Hey, Paul. How are you? Good to have you, my friend.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of synchronistic. I took a break today and I watched a movie. It was called The 13th Floor. It was made back in 1999, and now you're talking about the exact same thing. And I think it's really interesting if people want to watch it. It deals with technology and creating a computer program so people can jack into the program and go live a reality life in some other time. And things happen and everything, but it turns out at the end of the movie is that the people that created the program were actually just another sub-reality of the true reality.
Dude, man, you're wonderful. This is wonderful, man. I remember coming out of the theater with Heather, and she was like tripping, man. I mean, she was completely tripping. Her eyes were as big around as silk dollars, and on the way home, you can understand this, caller. On the way home, I looked over at her kind of like a robot, and I said, "Are you absolutely positive that you know who I am?" and
oh, not nice. Not nice.
Listen, Heather, y'all are going to feel sorry for Heather. She started crying. And I mean, she freaked out. She had all of this shit in her brain y'all have got to see The 13th Floor. I mean, it'll literally drive some of you nuts. Because it has to do, like the caller said, it has to do with every single thing that Katie and I and Tony talk about. It's amazing. It's totally amazing. That's all I've got to say about it.
You're breaking up a little bit, Tyler. Have you seen Warrior?
Kay, you sound like you're breaking up as well a little bit from this end. But they also put it in. They also put it in a film called Tron.
Go ahead, Kate. Tony.
They also put it in a film called Tron with the programmers.
Yes, Tron. Yes.
Exactly. So they
Tron,
give it to us again and again.
Tron doesn't hold a candle, though, to The 13th Floor. I mean, you guys have got to see The 13th Floor.
Oh yeah, right. I want to be scared to death.
Well, it's not. It's not like a horror movie kind of scared, though. That's the interesting thing about it. I really don't know how to describe it. It's not like a horror movie scary. It's more like a psychological, technical shock. Like you come out of the theater and you're like, oh my God. Oh my God.
I've worked in the mental health industry for the past 2 years, and what I've saw is the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life, what they're doing to people. And from just me, my observation, and they are taking very, very smart people and making like psychological warfare, and making them drugged up so bad. And a lot of it is the kids that are very, very highly functional. For some reason, they're taking those kids and taking them down, down, down.
Well, of course.
And drugging them.
There's not a lot of mystery behind that, except Big Pharma wants a lot of money. But, I mean, it's not really a conspiracy in the fact of mysterious conspiracy. It's more the fact that the quicker they can get these kids hooked on the drugs, the pharmaceuticals, the quicker they can kind of run them into a lull, a kind of a dumbing down, you know.
Kiler,
and go ahead. Yes, Tony, go ahead.
Comment on that. Kate said quite a while ago that we're actually our parents' ascendants, not our descendants.
Right.
So what's actually happening is our DNA is reactivating towards what it used to be. We think it's actually evolving, but what it is, it's trying to regain what it was, because the massive amounts of information in the DNA to start with, which have been buried, screwed up, shot to pieces, poisoned, done whatever they could to, it's actually re-engineering itself in our future children. So therefore they need to get control of our future children at birth in order to keep the consciousness level down, because we're becoming conscious too quick and they can't control us anymore.
Yes, exactly. And the other thing is parents are so far behind on the curve, on the learning curve. They need to come on the show and listen to Katie and you know, because they need to stand up for the kids, and they're not. We're talking to parents every day up here. I go, and I've started utilizing the library, Friends of the Library, to speak now. I lecture, I speak, I teach, I read my poetry. And the parents' eyes are just wide open. They're like, what are you talking about? Oh, my God, what are you? And they're laughing at me. And then I have some of my people in there who have been with me for a long time. They start talking to them, and I've had women cry. I've had mothers cry, run outside, and the husband just look at me and shake his head and go, you know, I just don't know what to say about this. I don't know what to say about this. And then they call me back a week later and say, oh, my God, you were right. We went and looked at your websites. We went and looked at Katie's websites or whatever, and this is true.
Mm-hmm.
And these parents are in their 40s. And they're like totally in the dark, completely in the dark to everything that we talk about here, which is that's kind of mysterious.
Well, they trust the medical doctors. They trust their schools.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Conditioning.
Yeah. And the schools, you know, the schools aren't always to blame either. I've interviewed teachers and I've interviewed coaches and principals. They're not to blame. They just go with the system. They're making a check. Right. They're making their little deal. So they don't really stand up and say, wait a minute now, this could have something to do with the New World Order or the global elite. Mm-hmm. You know, they just say, oh, come on in. That sounds like a good thing. That sounds great. You know, and plus, you know how much money the schools are getting? I did some research. The schools are getting money per child to diagnose them with ADHD now. And they're getting, and the clinics are getting a $10,000 bonus for diagnosing kids with HIV. And I'm going, what the hell is this? You know, what is going on with this? You know? I mean, it's all a money incentive, you know. And now I'm finding out with this Times article about the hospitals getting kickbacks on equipment. They're getting kickbacks on diagnosis. You know, doctors, I'll shut up in a minute. I know this is getting out of hand, but doctors are getting $265 just to read your x-rays. We got to do something, folks. We've got to stand up and kick some ass here. $265 just to stand there and read your x-rays and pick their nose? I mean, come on. Medicare pays $9.63 to stand there and read your x-ray. Private insurance, they're charging what I just said. And we got, you know, the whole system, and I didn't mean to get off on that, but it kind of sinks in to the whole paradigm of how screwed up everything is and how behind everyone is. You know.
That's why it's accelerating, Kiler, because I mean the whole medical system, if you go into the medical arena and I'm not wishing to be funny with anybody, but if you are daft enough to trust somebody else with that without doing a little bit of research, you will get processed, and you will be processed at a massive amount of money, because, you know, not only are they giving you stuff that's extremely bad for you, in fact, it's going to kill you. It's basically the fact that they're making an absolute bankrupt out of everybody by charging insurance policies that are through the roof for Medicare insurance, and people just can't afford to pay it. So it takes the middle classes down into the poverty. And this is what it is. It's about putting everybody in poverty and disease and control.
Mm-hmm. They keep it chronic.
This poor woman went to the hospital up in Boston with heartburn, and she was in her late 60s, and she was having chest pain. And, me being a paramedic, I would have looked at heart first when I went out there, started an IV, et cetera, but she gets to the hospital, and the doctors kind of knew immediately that she had a heartburn thing going on, and guess what? They ran all the tests on her for cardiac enzyme. And they ran 3-4 tests, which is what we normally do in a true cardiac emergency, and her bill was $27,000 for heartburn.
Oh, shit.
My mother just went into renal failure latter part of December, and in September, October, she had the flu shot, and she complained that all of her joints ached after she got the flu shot. And then complete renal failure. She's 82 years old. She worked 4 days a week. Smoked Camel non-filter cigarettes, is real healthy, and then the flu shot, and then complete renal failure. Now she's on dialysis, $30,000 a week.
Yes.
A week.
Yes. God, I feel for you. I feel for you. Go ahead.
I'm just so sick because my mother was like talking and walking and working, and then it was the flu shot, and then she started saying to me, Gloria, I just ache all over. I can't walk. And then she started to have edema in her ankles. And when my sisters finally called me, she looked like the Macy's Day Float Parade in the hospital.
Mother had her stroke. Mother had her stroke the morning after her shot, her flu shot.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I went up there, and I'd been working. I had my stethoscope on. I had my badge on. And I went in there, and I tried to choke the doctor out. And if I hadn't had my stethoscope on and my badge, the Dallas Police Department would have put me in jail. I knew that shot did it. I told them not to do it. And they said, well, you know what? We can call the Department of Human Services on you, and we can complain and have you put in jail. And I said, well, you just go right ahead and call them. And while I'm at it, let me call a couple of FBI buddies of mine and have them meet you up here. And one of them doesn't play by the rules, if you know what I mean. And they go, oh, what do you mean by that? I said, why don't you just find out? And I whispered to her, you don't want this to happen. And she looked at me with this terrified look on her. I was threatening her life.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you just take your mom on home, and we're going to go ahead and give her the shot. I said, do not give her the shot. So I leave to go with my wife somewhere, and they gave her the damn shot. And the next morning, she's sitting in the chair staring, and her eyes are wide open.
Yeah.
And I said, Mama, are you okay, Mama? And she never said a word, and she'd had a CVA. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go kill somebody. And Heather said, no, you're not. Now, you come here. Look, settle down. And I went nuts. I went up there, and I grabbed the doctor, and I shoved him into the wall, and I said, you are going to have the wrath of me. And we went around and around for about 20 minutes. They called security. They called the police department. And when the police came out there, I told them what had happened. And one of the officers took me to the side and said, I'm not supposed to get involved in this, but I want to tell you something. This happened to my mother. And he said, if I was not in the position I'm in, and I'm not going to finish the rest of the story.
Yeah.
You know what he said. Yeah.
This is the point. There are levels out there. There are people out there that actually know what's in those things. Thimerosal, squalene, aluminium, strontium. There's all sorts of shit in there. And, unless you've checked that out, you wouldn't know. And that's where they're going to get you. Unless you take on the responsibility for your loved ones, and they actually accept that help.
The biggest question we get is who? Tony, how do you explain Tony to people?
Right.
I mean, when the public comes to me, or somebody comes to you, Tony, and says, Tony, be honest with me, Tony. How could anyone do this? I don't believe you, Tony. How could anyone in the United States of America that has a heart and a soul and has promised the Hippocratic Oath could let something like this happen and let something in such a large scale take place in the United States of America with our children and our seniors?
Yep.
What do you tell them? What do you tell them, Tony?
It depends on which level you're looking at it from. From the doctor's perspective, initially they've been conditioned into, they've been institutionalized into, right, something's wrong, this is, you give them this shot, they've got this symptom, you give them that pill, you do this, you do that, and they have been institutionalized and conditioned to do as they're told. If they tick one of those boxes wrong, which is not what they're told, they'll fail. And if they fail, they'll never get through as a doctor. And then while they get through as a doctor, which is being instructed by the pharmaceutical industry and the people that have left there and retired and through the institutions, basically the bills that it costs them that much to become a doctor in the first place, they can't afford not to succeed at their exams, and they have to practice to pay the bills back that it cost them to get the indoctrination in the first place. So they set out to do the right thing. They were only taught certain areas of the medical industry. Nobody's talking about vitamins, minerals, supplements, nutrients, or any of that. They just talk about squirting them with drugs and pills.
I got a friend in Pennsylvania who screamed and yelled in the halls, and the police came, and her child was there, and they were going to give vaccinations, and she'd already had CPS called on her once because she's a homeschooler. And so CPS came out and they interviewed her, and she had gun racks. She had a gun rack over her mantle. So they had some other guy come out, some other goon come out, and he was in a suit, and he wouldn't identify himself. She kept asking, who are you? Who are you? Who are you with? And he wouldn't say anything. And Department of not corrections, but the CPS lady said, don't worry about it. He's with us. And she said, I demand to know who he is. He's looking at my gun rack, and he's writing things. And so she went to the hospital with the child, the second incident, and she told them not to give the child this vaccination and another shot they wanted to give the child. Well, they started moving toward the child. Somebody came and called security. They grabbed her and threw her up against the wall because she had these charges against her. And she ended up in a mental institution. They drugged her, put her on a damn cot like you see on television, rolling her down the hall with her screaming and kicking, give me my child, oh God, let me go home, oh God, please let me go home. And they put her in lockup for 72 hours, threatened to take her child away. Yeah. Now, what in the hell is going on in this country, folks?
Well, I think I was going to say,
women being tasered in the emergency room after the freaking family court took their kid away and gave him to the sex offender father. She ended up in the emergency room, and she was tasered.
Yep.
Now,
all the time
when you take a child away from their mother, that right alone would send somebody to, into insanity.
Well, that's exactly.
And then have the emergency room taser her.
I'll tell you, this is exactly the low-level conflict that Tammy talks about, Tammy Pepperman talks about all the time. And what it's designed to do is to dehumanize, demoralize, and injure, harm, people to get them to be complacent. And what's happening now is people have finally had enough of the complacency. But what is also happening is we're starting to see some of those 7,000 programmed meat sticks, we'll call them, showing up and when you see things like this happening, you're not dealing with anything human. And that's the bottom line. What's going to happen is this tsunami of consciousness that is coming over us. And it is. People are awakening by the second now. is getting to a crescendo where we already have the high ground. We're holding the high ground, and we're holding it solid. And it is right there where it needs to be. And I can tell you that the dark archons that want to continue to run this holographic program called Planet Earth are shitting in their pants. That's a fact. That is not a theory. That is a fact. Because I'm going to go right back to the Elite Manifesto, the Illuminati Manifesto, which is the only thing that I focus on every single day. And here's the line. It's right at the bottom of their manifesto. If but one shall awaken, we are doomed. And I'm thinking the odds are pretty good out of 7 billion now, huh?
Yeah.
See, what really upsets me. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
You need to look at the protocols of the Elders of Zion as well, because what it actually says, the information in there, is absolutely exactly what's going on.
Yes. I was just going to say, too, the only thing that really upsets me is when something like this happens in the emergency room, and as a paramedic for many, many, many years, I've seen this happen over and over and over and over again. I've almost lost my job many times fighting for people. When will the emergency room stand up and say, enough is enough, you all leave this lady alone? That's what I'm looking for. Katie and I have talked about this, and we have different opinions on it, Katie and I, but then again,
I think we're pretty close on that one. No,
we are, but it's like, it's just, it pisses me off that people are so culturally indoctrinated, like Tony said. They're so indoctrinated to be submissive and to shut up and to be quiet. And, if you're wrong, you're going to jail. You're going to prison. You're going to get a ticket. We're going to taser you. Well, hell, I'm afraid of that. Anybody who says they're not afraid of being locked up is nuts. Okay, they're lying. So, you've got a whole emergency room full of people out here, though, and they do nothing. They see this, they hear this, and they do absolutely nothing. It's like I've seen people standing at the scene of an accident doing nothing. Just absolutely nothing, talking. I've seen people walk over dead bodies in New York. Just walk over the dead body and throw your cup of empty ice on it. It's like, what are we going to do about that, Katie?
Well, how many times have we talked about the fact that you've got four-armed thugs in their clown suits over beating someone to death, and you've got 50 to 100 people all standing around, and they've got their cell phones up, and they're can hardly wait to get it up on YouTube, to get the next famous YouTube. I mean, if that isn't a level of inhumanity.
Colosseum. The Roman Colosseum all over again.
It's bread and circuses, absolutely. Look what I can film. You know what, guys? Put the fucking cameras down and get busy.
Yeah.
Designate
seriously. Someone to film, and let's go. The rest of us go beat the shit out of these people.
Because someone harming another human being, regardless. I mean, seriously, the way these guys go at people, for say throwing a piece of trash down. Or because they crossed the street the wrong way, and how many people have been tased to death? I mean, Tammy brought that up the other night. Look at the stats for tasing. There are more people killed with tasers than guns from the cops. That's again another
cardiac arrest.
Low-level conflict, right? Indeed.
I just want to focus on something you just said there, because that hit me like a flipping iron bar around the back of the head. I was thinking back to the 100th monkey scenario, whereby the baby monkeys dropped the sweet potatoes in the stream and it washed all the dirt off, and they thought, oh, that's good because it washes the potato. Okay, that's the 100th monkey syndrome. But what you actually just said there was practically the answer to this whole flipping situation. If you've got, let's look at a riot situation whereby just before the people are rioting, they're being kettled, they're being pushed into the corners, they're being corralled into places, and all the rest of it. If there was just one person in each place around the world that turned around and gone, oi, look how many of us there are, look how many of them there are, let's get them. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
That would change everything. If there was one person in every single situation like that had the conscious awareness to make that statement to the people around them, they would actually do that. Because
but there's your point, the conscious awareness. Most people are just so in fear. Half of them would be deer in headlights because the fear has been instilled in them.
Yeah, they're terrified. We can talk a lot easier on the air, though, and I do want to make a good point here. It's easy for all of us, and I don't think any of us should stand up and try to be bold at the moment and say, oh, well, we're not that way, or, I wouldn't do that, because I think it's easy to talk on the air, but when you're out there and you're facing 900 police officers or whatever, let's just say 35 cops in SWAT gear, and they've got their guns out and their batons, and they've already beat the hell out of some poor guy and crushed his cranium in, it's not easy to step up to the plate and say, F you.
Hey, Kiler, I'm going to go. I just want to go on this for a second here, because what people are listening to right now are people that actually have and will and do stand up in the face of them. That's the difference. We're not just, we're not the radio host going, well, this is what I think, and talking out of their ass, talking heads basically. No, what we're coming to the table with here, Kiler, is to come with that physical experience of looking down the barrels of guns, of standing in the face of these dudes. Absolutely, and Tony.
But the general population
need to think about the concept. It's the
never
concept.
Changed
think
a dirty
about it.
diaper. The general population's never changed a dirty diaper on their grandmother. They just don't. They haven't done anything outside the box really hard. Most people.
Well, again, I'm here.
If you looked at my Facebook with the SWAT gear guys, they were up in Bennington, Vermont, and that was just a little part. They took a huge part out the Bennington banner. The helicopters, those Black Hawk helicopters, were over Bennington for almost a week, hovering over, going into these houses with the people. It's on my Facebook, and Bennington Banner captured it, and then took a bunch of the helicopters off. All of the helicopters are off the Bennington website, but what I captured, I have on my Facebook. My daughter experienced that up in Bennington, Vermont, for a week, looking out her college class, seeing these helicopters hovering over, the SWAT teams going in and going into these houses and bringing out people with towels over their heads, and I'm like, what in God's name? And for almost a week and a half, they were shutting down roads, and there were fires in these particular houses, and it was just like crazy. It was like all set. And I'm like, I didn't believe my daughter, and then she said, Ma, look, and she was taking pictures from her, her classroom. And the copters were all over Bennington, Vermont. And they said it was a drug sweep. But to see these people coming out of the houses with towels over their heads, that's all I could think of was, I don't know. It was,
well, again, I just one comment on the helicopters, Kiler. 1 sec. The last time I saw military helicopters flying over in very regular fashion was when I lived in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and it was a war zone. What they're doing is this is mind conditioning, especially college town. It's like it's getting people familiar with it, and of course they're going to say it's a drug raid. They're going to say whatever the people are going to suck up to on the teats of the whore of Babylon, called media. Right? To me, this is all the whore of Babylon. I do not sleep with her any longer. Sorry, not interested.
They're doing that here.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right about the college kids. They're doing that here with the SWAT teams, and they're having drills, and they're getting these kids used to it. They're slowly getting them indoctrinated to what it looks like, what it smells like, what it feels like, till the big day comes. And one of the other things I wanted to say, Katie and I and Tony had talked about people using Facebook, the law enforcement using Facebook against you. Just had another friend of mine who's a very good researcher tell me that oh, God, I don't remember the number of thousands and thousands of cases that are being brought into court now, and your Facebook page pops up with all of your private messages and your history from the beginning of time pop up, and they're using it against you in a court of law now, which seems to me it should be illegal, but who cares what I think. Every message you've ever put on there is highlighted in highlighter against you and for the defendant. In a divorce case, of course, they're using them in divorce cases. They're using them in corporate fraud cases. They're using them in all types of cases now. Your Facebook page and all of your other platforms are right there.
And that's one of the reasons why I am so prolific in what I put on there, because I'll tell you, there's nothing I love more than for people to be exposed to all the different things that I post. And if they're looking for my intent, they're going to see it. I wish no ill upon anyone.
And I was talking to the United States Attorney friend of mine in Dallas, Texas, and she said, yeah, we've got a reason to arrest, 88.8% of the American populace. If we want to go in and arrest them on a charge and hold them as terrorists, we've got them. All we have to do is step through the door with a Facebook page. We got them. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, no questions asked. If you make one statement against the government,
can I butt in here?
They can arrest you. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. You guys were talking, and to be honest, I really don't know what to do. Like I said, I talked, earlier. I'm in the mood where I'm just ready to knock some heads over, and I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? I have no clue.
Join my PTSD page. Join my PTSD page. I'm worried about you. I have post-traumatic stress disorder from hell, from my dead body homicide days, and I know it sounds like to me you need to look at my PTSD Today. It's called PTSD Today, and the other one is the Eagle's Nest. I'll work you through this, man. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. No, I'm just saying I'm just sick of. These as Katie would say, these bastards, and it's time to knock some heads. And
remember,
we got to do
your
something.
Friends. Keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. We got to do this thing on the sly a little bit, on the skid a little bit. I mean, we work undercover up here. Katie knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many times when I want to take my .357 Magnum and just go in like I used to in the old days when I was able to do that, but I don't have the license to do that anymore, and I have to do things in somewhat of a different way now. But
I don't have a gun, and I don't need a gun.
No, we don't.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't.
But still.
Hey guys, let me cut in here. I want to go back to what Tony was talking about, and what Tony was trying to share very eloquently is exactly what we need to focus on. And what it is we got to get out of this meat stick anger nonsense, okay? And we've got to get the concept. This is a mental universe. That which we think changes this world, not what we do. What we do is the net result of our intent, of what we've already thought. So what we need to do is stop working backwards and start working, realizing that what we think manifests itself. This is why they've done such a bang-up job on controlling masses, because they keep people in anger, they keep people in fear.
Right.
This is about, and what Tony was saying was, it's
conquer and divide.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to go back to a video that came out quite a while ago. It comes up every so often, where you have a guy running across a soccer field with he's got I guess something like a poster or something, whatever. And I do believe he's streaking. 4 or 5 security guards run onto the field and bring the guy down. Next thing you know is you've got one of the guys there with a billy club just ramming at this guy, and they're beating the living shit out of him. One of the soccer players from one of the teams, seeing what was going on, said, enough of that shit. Next thing you know is he's racing over, and he's got some soccer cleats on, so I'm sure the guy, and he's probably a pretty good striker, he can probably put a ball, a few hundred yards, but he put his boot to one of those guys' heads. And next thing you know, as soon as that's the trigger point that Tony's talking about. As soon as people saw that,
stadium came out.
The whole stadium came after and beat the living shit out of these guys. They ran, and that's exactly what needs to happen. They need to know that we've had enough. They need to know I'm not condoning violence in any way, shape, or form. What I am offering is golden rule. That which you wish upon another, you have wished upon yourself. We as consciousness have to act upon that. It's not just that we should, or this is an obligation of consciousness. This is how we stop this. Because till the bully gets its ass handed to it in a fucking silver platter, the bully is going to have a field day and is going to buffet on everybody.
Yep.
That's the point. We just need to get that into the conscious minds of the people. You don't need guns. You don't need anything. If you've got 500 to 1 or whatever, the point is you see 2 cops going in there beating the living shit while there's 50 of you standing around filming it going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Do you know what I'm saying? Get your shit together. It just takes one person to say, oi, come with me, let's deal with it. End of story. End of issue.
Statement. This statement just alone makes us all felons, right? Just making a point. I'm all for what
some pieces.
Do I care?
I don't give a shit.
I don't care.
Listen,
do I care? We're already in jail.
Exactly. It's a prison planet. It's time to break out.
I'm kind of saying it as a pun.
No, I know what you're saying.
Well, if you think about it, we are all capable of heinous crimes. It's acting on it. We can think whatever we want, but it's the action that it holds you accountable.
That solidifies the intent, and that's why in every silly little court of law they have to prove intent, specific or general. And here's the thing: I mean, even when someone utters, like in the case of, I can't remember the guy's name. I just blocked garbage out of my mind. But actually, uttered a death threat at me this week, and that alone, it paid chill, obviously, because he was inactive. He signed up in Facebook in 2009, didn't do much. Next thing you know, March 1st, he's coming out hard and furious with posts all over the place. So that, to me, is one of the 800,000 paid shills that the U.S. government has going online to, discredit, disrupt. It's like the email, and I do want to cover this, guys. It's hilarious, and I'm not even sure what the post count is up to, but it was over 400 the last check on Santo's page. And we made the guy famous, and that's what we have to do. Right. We got to make these idiots famous. And I'll tell you,
they're a bunch of. Oh no, I won't say.
Yeah, no, I know. We have to temper that. We have to get into the balance of it. Yes, it makes us angry. Yes, we want to go and knock some heads together and what have you. The point being is, you've got all these goons, jarheads basically that are low IQ. They're hired for that reason, and they're out of control now. They are out of control, and even those within the system are seeing it, and they're calling them jarheads too. And they're getting their eyes opened on the inside. I mean, a typical cop today isn't the same one we had 30, 40 years ago. Okay, what we have now are steroid injecting, of course, and you saw the story in Rhode Island, I'm sure, the 2 guys that finally got charged or whatever, convicted of that steroids thing. It looks like the Rhode Island cops are going to be a little shy on their steroid supply for the next while. But the thing is, you've got these guys. Oh, by the way, for all you cops using steroids, we know you have little dicks. Cool. Hey, weenie boys. That's what we'll start calling them, the weenie boys. Anyway,
they must have slipped me some of that stuff. Wait a minute.
Now, come on, Kate. Don't go there. I'm a bodybuilder. I used to be a bodybuilder, and I did use steroids. So don't go that way.
Yeah, but hang on, Jim. But some of us aren't as well endowed at birth as you that could actually afford a little shortening. Okay. All right.
Oh, come on.
I'll make it all better for you, Jim. Don't worry. Now listen, not in that way though. Stop. But the point being is this: we have these steroid-driven, which what steroids can do to people, especially if they have a preponderance to anger and violence. It just intensifies it, and that's what we're dealing with here. I mean, any cop, I'm telling you this right now, any cop that is on steroids and is beating the shit out of somebody, and I mean, that is grounds alone. Because what we're dealing with is a psychopathic instability that is clinically can be clinically diagnosed by any doctor or psychiatrist. And I love how these judges and all the rest of it take on that role of thinking that people are mentally unstable. Well, I'm not the one wearing the funky black dress without matching shoes, thinking I'm God sitting on a fucking bench. Okay, all right. Listen, if you're going to wear a black dress, you need to accessorize. Okay.
You got to have the pearls with it, right?
You got it. You got to look the part.
See, now who's being?
Yeah, come on, Jim. You know me by now. I'll take it.
You know me by now too.
I know, and I'll take it anywhere and downtown every time because I won't hold back on anything. And that's what we got to do here, guys. We got to stop holding back. We got to start looking at our communities. We are the community. Those that we were raised to believe and trust as being the pillars of our community, the priests, the ministers, the cops, the politicians, all of these people have actually become, well, they're being seen for what they really are now. These are the controllers. These are the psychopaths. These are the killers of our communities. These are the ones that have raped our children, are guilty of child trafficking, are guilty of every time a cop writes a ticket, they're committing fraud. Every time a cop utters their name, they're committing fraud. They're aiding and abetting people into committing fraud by asking for a name. I mean, this is how bad they've got it. And here's another level, a low-level conflict scenario we're dealing with. What these bankers, wankers, whatever you want to call them, the ones that are the puppet masters running them, are dividing the people against the cops. And that's why they bring these dipshit jarheads into the force to really bring that divide and conquer to us. This is where we, and wake up, cops, just fucking wake up to what's going on. We're trying to help you.
Exactly.
We're trying to free you of your mortgage. We're trying to free you of the change that you are so adamantly fighting for with a 9mm penis extension, be it male or female cop, that hangs on your hip.
You should be doing the opposite of allowing people in white coats to inject your kids with fucking shit. You should be out there protecting your children. You should be out there protecting your neighbours and the people around you, which is what you was intended to do. In the same way that the doctors who joined the medical institutions initially took the Hippocratic Oath to help heal people, etc., but they were conned. The doctors have been conned. The police have been conned. The soldiers have been conned. We've all been conned.
We need to make these evil. We need to make these evil cops watch 1,000 episodes of Andy Griffith.
No, actually, to be honest, I think the ones. This was back, 20, 25 years ago. The ones in my book that actually are the ones that should be the leaders are the farmers, because they knew how to take care of the land.
Well, that's where it all came from in the beginning. That's where law enforcement came from. But it just transmuted, it transformed itself into this Gestapo thing. The people were the law enforcement. The people had the duty to carry arms and protect themselves from not only rivals in the community if something should happen, but the government itself and standing armies. And that's something we talked about a couple of weeks ago. It's a duty for us to carry a weapon. It's not a right. It's a duty. It's a God-given duty, a sovereign duty. People keep using the word rights. Rights are something the government made up.
No, it's another example in human nature, right? You have the right under nature to protect yourself, right?
Under nature, yes.
A tiger has claws and teeth.
Right under rule of law.
A dog has teeth. Yeah, a porcupine has spines. They have a natural inbuilt defense system by nature. You can't go around plucking the spines out of a porcupine just because it hasn't got a permit. For fuck's sake.
But then again,
the guns were also for survival, so you could go out and kill an animal, so you could feed your family.
Yes, of course.
And the young boys in upstate New York, the men are still taking their sons out and teaching them how to take, to go at a deer and how to, and it's so, because my daughter just texted me last night. I said, so what are you up to? She goes, I'm out with the guys hunting fox. I'm like, oh my God, but she knows how to shoot, and the girls up there know how to shoot. But when you bring it to, like, Rhode Island, the girls only know how to go get food from a grocery store, and they have no clue where food comes from. It's in a package.
Something that we're missing here, though, and I get shut out, not talking about Kate and Tony, but I seem to get shut out of every single forum that I'm in when I start talking about this, is people are not educated. The general public is not educated in sociology, basic philosophy, basic astrophysics or cosmology or quantum physics or just general communication, human communication in general. I'm getting my PhD in communication sociology, but I'm almost done. I can't talk about it. It's so hard to talk about. When we start talking about all of the things that are missing from the human race, from the general population of the collectivism. If you go look at some tapes on collectivism, go to YouTube and just punch in collectivism, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It'll explain everything that I'm talking about, how all of this got twisted up. It'll explain everything. Collectivism.
You know what it is? It's people forgot about common sense, and that's what it boils down to.
That's a big part of it. That's a really big part of it. My dad said before he died, he said, we're going to lose our sense of common sense. These people they have no common sense now. My dad worked at North American, and he taught college grads coming out of North American. My father had a ninth grade education, and he was a teacher at North American. And he said those college grads were some of the dumbest, most stupid idiots. They couldn't find their way to the men's bathroom. And that, he said that he called them educated idiots. And my dad used that term so much, educated idiots. They didn't have any common sense at all. And people today don't have any common sense, and they don't have any book sense. We've forgotten how to read because of the internet. We don't read. We don't think. Things are moving so fast and so quick, our brains don't have time to do anything but just kind of brush over it, and then we all develop an opinion and a hypothesis and a theory, and then we think we're all PhDs on the subject, and we're not. We need to slow down. We need to back up. I know we're not. It's too late for that. But, for most of us, it's too late for that. But we need to back up and say, you know what? We need to study more. We need to study what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm going to write a book. Its title is How to Find Your Ass with Both Hands.
How to Find Your Ass from a Hole in the Ground.
I think that would that book too. There we go. Now we got some chapters happening.
Yeah.
And before we get done here, guys, I do want to spend a few minutes on this email. It is absolutely hilarious. Just the kind of stuff we're dealing with. I want to make people learn to laugh at kind of shit that we get to deal with. And this was the email, all right? And where are we at now? 426 posts on this today alone. And this is just to let Santo know how much he is respected and loved for the work, the tireless work that he has done. And I am so honored that I get a chance to do shows with you guys and with Santo and with so many others that I'm looking at what I've been able to experience with the people I've been able to experience it with, and I ask myself the question, what the hell did I do to get here? But I guess I'm here. So here's the email. You ready for this? This is some fun. He took quite a few digs at me, and I had to laugh my head off. And seriously, I had a real giggle about this with Santo at 4:30 this morning. So here it is. Santos, my name is Brian Coneybear. I'll give the email out, so if you want to send Brian Coneybear a little note, feel free, because there's been, if you spend some time on Santo's page, there's, like I said, over 400 posts here, but you got to read them, and the people out there, I got to tell you, are funny, light, loving. They get it, they see it, and it's beyond beautiful. I just got to quickly check the board to get Tony's mic hot here. There we go. Tony, your mic is up, so here we go. All right, Santo, my name is Brian Coneybear. I've been watching your vids for a while now, and I have been really enjoying the information you've been sharing with the public. But recently I have stopped watching your vids because I am so disgusted seeing you do shows with your little transvestite girlfriend slash wifey to be Katie Gaia. By the way, I'm transsexual. Transvestite is an entirely different thing. So here we go. Birds of the same feather flock together. Real men, i.e. heterosexual men, do not keep the company of men who want to be women. Kind of born this way, sorry about that. You are suspect, Santos. I question your sexuality, not to mention you look like you have AIDS. What a loving soul. I won't be watching any of your gay-ass YouTube vids anymore. I believe you are a closet homosexual. Sounds like a mirror here. Can you hear the mirror, guys? Anyway,
Yes.
now wait till you hear the mirror with his last bit.
You sucked the chrome off a trailer hitch.
Oh yeah, wait till you hear this. This gets better. At least we know where his leaning is. And Johnny Guzman is a very, very good-looking man. You have very effeminate body language, and you are not at all manly. Johnny Guzman is the only real man on your show, and he is way more intelligent than you and your wifey, Katie Gaia, put together. Johnny is a cool dude. I don't trust men of your ilk. Have a nice day, homo. Brian Coneybear. Now, here's his email. BrianConeybear@yahoo.com. Now, Coneybear is spelled Brian, B-R-I-A-N, Coneybear, C-O-N-E-Y-B-E-A-R-E @yahoo.com. And don't forget, you can get this in the archive. So if you didn't get it, Brian Coneybear, it's just like it sounds with an E at the end of bear, Brian Coneybear @yahoo.com. Send him an email. He's going to be getting a whole lot of emails from a lot of different websites that he is.
Yeah, he is.
That he has just been signed up to by numerous people. So he's going to have a shit pile of email in the next little while just based on that alone. But feel free to no, seriously. Now here's what I wrote. I'll give you a little heads up here. Hey y'all, yep, Santo and I had a giggle about this one, and no, the only energy shared is showing the odd email like this that dribbles through the doors. The thought of putting this up was to merely show some of the drama that some people live in and to share their love with everyone. This is about shining the light on those that think they can hide behind their computer without caring about what they send, troll, shill, or otherwise. All right? Now, this is simply showing the ones that do this accountability in their light for all to see. So here's the thing. This is how we do this, guys. This is placing it back, giving the gift back. Well, thank you for sharing what you feel. And I love it so much, I am going to share it with the world. And I tell you, we had one rule on stage. I made it very clear during my shows. Anytime I was performing anywhere, never had any hecklers for some reason. Never piss off the individual with the microphone, because everybody hears them, not just the few that are hanging around the mouthpiece out in the audience. And fortunately, and this is the thing, I've never had any emails like that. So I told Santo, please share these with me. I love getting these. And yeah, thanks, Vincent. Nice one. And I just wanted a few shout-outs. Todd, man, I got to tell you, you have had me in stitches a few times today with your comments. Roy, Derek, Melise, Rebecca. I'm just going to go down a couple. Kyle, Lalo, Tiffany, Eileen, Julie, Teresa, Pamela, Ron. Oh, the list goes on and on. Gary. What happened today was a prime example of what I'm trying to illustrate to people. We do this together. You see, because today, what I got to see based on one individual coming at someone so loving as Santo just brought the fire of heaven upon himself. And what I'm seeing here, and I see it so much more now, is all of these people that are awakened, that have found that center Emerald City. They found their heart. And what they're doing is exactly what Tony was trying to describe earlier with the concept. Somebody, hey, you pick on one of us, you pick on one of our friends, we're going to stand. And there's a shit pile more of us than you. And I'll tell you, you got 40 or 50 people standing around, and 3 or 4 cops beating somebody up, and they all gather around a circle, and they keep closing it in. And as soon as, and they'll back off. And it's no, we're not going to back off. And you're going to see a slightly changed attitude, because all of a sudden these guys that hide behind their batons and their tasers and their guns and all the rest of it realize that underneath that uniform there's still a shriveled up little dick steroid-bearing piece of garbage with an attitude problem that needs to be adjusted. And we'll do that with love first. We always give the option. But remember this, those that use their consciousness for evil have a terrible fate awaiting them. And it is our obligation of consciousness to bring that light to them and bring them into the light, because what these guys need to start experiencing is the fear that they have been indoctrinated into delivering to other people. And we're done. We've had enough. The thin blue line just got cut. And you will either stand with us, guys, and you will stand with us and your families.
You sound so much like my mother when I was so skinny and I was so little and sickly in school. My mother used to go to the school and literally just put everybody on frickin' alert. I mean,
I did.
I used to get beat up at least once every day. You know, it was unusual for me not to get beat up on the way home or at school. And I'm a big old guy now, and my dad, I'll tell you the story on another show how I became tough and able to take care of myself. But I used to get beat up once a day, and my mom got fed up with it, and she finally went down to school, and she put everybody on alert. She drugged the teachers out of the schoolroom and took them into the principal's office by the collar. Every single one of them. She went and got every one of them and said, you sit down right here and wait for me. And I mean, wait. And I was like, what in the heck is going on here? And then she went to the bullies. And she brought the bullies out of the schoolroom. And those little eyes got as big around as potatoes. And boy, I'm not even going to tell you what she did and how she did it and what she said. But by the time she got through, people were saluting me when I went into school the next morning.
Yeah,
and,
they don't mess around with Mama, I tell you. And
you're right, though. You're right. You need to stand up. People do not go to school and do that anymore because they're afraid they'll go to jail. Back then, I'm saying back then it was different. Back then we kind of took care of things back then. Now it seems like the cops or security got to get involved.
When the hippies and all the the flower power and stuff. When my brother had this van. And back then, you could just, a bunch of guys just, like, took paint, all different colored paint, and just, like, okay, and on the marker plate, I don't know what it was registered under, but they used to cruise Main Street in Winston, Connecticut, and he used to say, Ma, the police are stopping me and harassing me. She just got so sick of hearing that. Well, she goes, okay. She got in the back of that van, and lo and behold, they went up Main Street, and the police stopped them, and she got out the back. She's like, I was in there, he wasn't doing anything wrong, and then after that, they didn't bother him. But, and she's like 4.5 feet tall, and she's Italian, and it was just like, they just stopped. But that's what you have to do.
You know what? Good point. Don't let the cops pull any of this on you guys out there and girls. Nope. when they say, oh, we have to get your name because we have to make a computer report that we were here. Tell them that is the biggest bunch of bullshit that could ever come out of a cop's mouth. We have to make a report. I've heard that so many times working with my homeless felons up here that I'm sick of it. They always say it. They'll come up to the porch where we are, our halfway house, and there'll be 9 or 10 homeless people sitting on the porch minding their own business, eating their donuts, and the cop will come up and say, we've had somebody get beat up down here. I need to see all of your ID. And I'm like, excuse me? I came out of the house. I said, excuse me? You need to do what? You need to see all of our ID? I said, are you writing a book, a novel, a biography? What are you doing here? And he goes, who the hell are you? I said, I'm Kiler Davenport. Who the hell are you? And he said, you step down here with me right now. So I got called out by the teacher, cop. And I said, for number 1, you're on private property. Number 2, the crime did not happen here. Number 3, you have no business being here. Number 4, these people are not going to show you their ID because they do not have to. And he calls all of his supervisors in, and guess what? We won.
That's private property.
Well, beyond private property, this is consciousness in action, guys. This is strength in numbers. As soon as fear gets its ass handed to it, it runs. That's the point we're trying to make.
Everybody was going for their wallet before I went out there, Katie. Everybody was going for their wallet.
Yeah, good complacent sheep. That's what they want. And the minute one of those sheep stands up and says, no, sorry, I'm a bull ram, and I'm going to ram your sorry ass out of here, that's when the fear kicks in. And, I better, look what happens. I'm going to call my supervisor. They go in the
round them up.
mode.
He wanted to round up a few warrants on the porch. If there was anybody with warrants, he wanted to round them up. That's what they're up to, see? They want to drill you into a corner, whether you're involved in anything or not. It could have happened 3 blocks away, but if you're within sight of a cop, he's going to ask you for your ID because he wants another arrest. That's all he wants is another arrest. Sickens me. It just frickin' sickens me.
That's how they make their money, right? They have to do that. We got a area code 419 called in, so we got 20. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, I got knocked out.
All right.
Hope it's the cop, Katie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a
But here, listen.
yeah.
I want to try to diffuse what the bankers are doing to our communities by marginalizing the cops and us. I'll say 100% of the street cops haven't got a friggin' clue of what they're really doing and what they're really up to. They're given they're kept in the dark and fed a load of shit. They're a bunch of mushrooms that are walking around packing heat, and they get the godlike syndrome going on. And the simple fact is that is by design. That's deliberate. What we need to do is start educating these guys, and every time you come across these guys, start asking them. I mean, there was that one video of one of those illegal checkpoints they setting up 50 miles from the border, right? Department of Homeland bullshit or whatever they call it.
I just posted it. It's in the chat room.
Okay, good stuff. Synchronicity, huh? Anyway, and right at the end, what did he do? He says, "What's your name? Are you an American citizen? You an American citizen?" Says, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" And as soon as you start parroting exactly what this guy was going to be saying to him, you could see the circuitry just short out, and he's like, "Am I free to go? Am I free to go? You American citizen? Where you been? Where you going?" And he just drives off. This guy was spun to the nines, and that's basically what you have to do. What we need to start doing is carrying around little notebooks, and anytime a cop comes up to you, put your foot up on the fucking bumper of the car and start saying, "And what's your name?"
I need your badge number, sir.
I need your badge number, and what's your address? I need your date of birth as well.
Yeah. Before we go off the air, I'd like to say one more thing about cops. I am starting to teach a course up here, but I'm not going to talk about it tonight. I'll talk about it another time. 2 cops, 2 sheriffs, and by the way, my wife is becoming a deputy sheriff. But that's a sheriff. That's elected under the elected sheriff here. But anyway, don't talk to cops. Let me say it again, please. Do not talk to cops. And I'm going to say it one more time, like my Harvard University professor. Do not talk to cops. Okay? Has everybody got it? If you talk to 90% of the time, people go to jail because they talk to cops. Never tell them where you've been. Never tell them where you're going. Never tell them anything at all.
Yep.
Okay?
Easiest way, and a valid point, and I will say this, because as soon as you talk to one of them, you have, in the legal sense, recognized them and their authority. The problem with the courts and the rest of the bullshit liars that they are, it's all about assumption and presumption. So the best thing to do is, like Kiler says, don't even say a word to them.
No.
End the story. And, they want to keep doing what they're doing, just ignore them and keep moving. It's that
You'll
simple.
have an 80% chance of going free. You'll have an 80% chance of going free if you do not talk to the cops. And I tell you what, the professors in this course, I'll put it on Katie's page, that they say it so much that you get sick of hearing it. But that's the key thing in staying away from trouble. Don't talk to these bastards.
No, I had an episode. This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I drove up in a new Mustang, and this is when I was working in that. And I walked into the carry out, and the cop comes up to me. He goes, "How fast you get that car going?" I said, "I don't know. There's the speed limit." And he's laughing. And, I take off, and I squealed the tires. He didn't do one damn thing about it.
And by the way, once you sign the ticket, and you should sign the ticket, by the way, that's my advice.
No, he never
sign anything.
No, I'm asking you. I'm just saying if it means getting into a confrontation that you really don't want to get into, and you're not able to handle it, and you do not understand the psychology of police, go ahead and sign the ticket if it's just a minor offense, and get the hell out of there, because the rule is, once you sign the ticket, you're free to go. Even if you stand there 1 minute, if you stand there 60 seconds, the rule is they're going to ask you if they can search the car.
Oh yeah.
And then on the next show, I'll teach you how to avoid drug.
He tried to be a smart ass with me. and I'm just went, whatever, and I just took off, and I just dumped the clutch and let it go, and he didn't do one thing because he knew he was in the wrong, and I just wanted to show him. And
I'm teaching a course. I'm teaching a course online, and I'll put it up on how to avoid the dogs. For all of you pot smokers out there, I'll teach you how to handle your pot, how to keep your pot, how to store your pot if you're on a trip, if you're medical, whatever, and how to avoid the dogs and how the dogs are trained, how the dogs are trained to sense what they sense and all that. So that's going to be a really good thing. I'll put it up on Katie's page, and I'll also put another video up of a former narcotics officer who's been in the business for years, who turned on his own department and is now teaching people how to avoid getting arrested. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, hey, that's great. This is the whole thing. It's about empowering people, and people have just got to stop thinking that these guys and girls are walking gods. That's what they think. What we know is entirely different, because I know for a fact that every one of them, if they have normal bowel operations, they got up and had a pee this morning, and I bet they didn't call the chief for permission, nor did I, or the sheriff, or whoever. I don't care, and that's the rule I apply in my life. I'm not harming anyone. I don't need anyone's permission to do anything. My body will tell me what it needs to do.
And believe me, there's a lot of cops, Katie. We need to make I want to make a clarification here. There's a lot of wonderful cops out there. Katie will even say
absolutely.
that. A lot
absolutely.
of wonderful. I mean, wonderful. They've come over and helped me with my mother before she died. There's a lot of wonderful police, and we're not out here to diss the police, the whole damn police department, and generalize on every cop in the world. But there are a bunch of killer cops out there, and there are a bunch of real dickheads that'll beat the hell out of you and kill you and drag you down to the river and throw your body in the water. So be careful.
Well, that's the thing, and I often wonder how bad they're going to feel, the ones that are the honorable ones, how bad they're going to feel once they actually figure out that we've been trying to help them all along. And, they're the ones that have been aiding and abetting in the banker criminals, working for their greedy puppet masters. It's like when I, talking with Tammy with regards to what she just went through on Thursday. They got this snivelly little bastard banker there, and he, as she put it, he had a smug grin on his face because the papers that they were supposed to have given her, the 9/11 conspiracy, same thing, phone, buildings, same thing. This guy was lying through his teeth from the get-go. She asked what kind of papers. Says, well, I don't know. And then, in previous breath, he said, well, they're my officers. I'm on the phone with them right now. And I'm thinking, okay, well, here's a question for you, Mr. 911 cop. If they're your officers and you're on the phone with them, how is it that you don't know what papers they've got? Because the simple fact was they didn't have any. So he was lying through his fucking teeth. The only thing that Tammy got on Thursday morning was a business card from this smug banker, Mikey the Peanut Penis, from Coldwell Banker. That was it. Look at that, Coldwell Wanker. I love it.
Yeah. And anyway. The other thing is, don't sign anything when the cops bring you in. This is a good subject. I love this subject, by the way. When the cops, if they do bring you into the station and you're brought from home and you've been accused of some horrible crime there at the house or next door or down the street, don't sign anything. They always come in with this piece of paper with a big grin on their face. Would you like some coffee or some tea, or maybe I can go down to the machine and get you a Dr. Pepper or Coke? What do you like? Oh, by the way, can you just give me a little statement here on what happened down there? No big deal. We're not going to use this against you. Just write down what happened. Tell them to take that paper and go wipe with it. This is the second way people get their ass in trouble. Silence
is golden, and the only thing that they can hypothecate is a signature. Sign nothing. And you'll be amazed at how fast these wankers react to getting rid of you.
And never believe them.
They want you
never believe a cop. Never believe
Never
a cop.
believe them.
Never. He is never your friend. Never.
Yeah.
Never.
I have the operations manual on that, by the way, interrogation manual, and it's a clear and present fact. These guys are trained liars, and you can tell people when they're lying very easily. Just watch their eyes. You square off on someone's eyes, they'll have
their mouth's moving. when they're house moving or lying.
Basically, yeah.
They'll pretend to be your sweetest friend.
People, because you can see if they're like, well, I used to have a dog like that. You'd look in his eyes and his head would go up and not even look in your eye. But people that can't look in your eyes, don't trust them.
Right.
I got another good one for you. I had I wrecked a car a long time ago, and they said I was drinking. It's like, no, I wasn't. I hit a patch of ice, and and so they basically handcuffed me in the hospital where my wife worked, and made a big scene, and took me down, to do a breathalyzer test, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get down there and I blow it, and and I didn't blow anything. I looked at them and I go, so am I good to go? And they're like, you could just see the look in their eyes, just like, whoop, you guys still there?
Yep.
Oh yeah, we're listening. We hear you.
Well, anyhow, they didn't know what to do. They thought they got a sucker. Because it was a Friday night. They thought I was drinking, and I wasn't. I just hit a patch of ice and and hit a telephone pole. Well, so my car is totaled, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm free to go. You guys are going to drive me home? And they're like, and the one guy goes, yeah, I'll drive you home because I'm about at the end of my shift. And we start talking and that, and he asked me, where are you at? And I said, well, I was at this restaurant and that. And he goes, you know what? That sounds pretty damn good. He goes, after this shift, I'm going to take off. I'm going to go there. And that's cool. That's all I got out of that.
Yeah, it's amazing, and these guys, you got to remember this, something else too, because they are commissioned officers. You got to understand that. That's why they call them officers. Doesn't matter what rank they're at. They're on commission, and their commissions are their tickets. They have a quota that they have to fulfill in order to cover their salaries and, of course, get bonused out of it as well. And don't kid yourself, they are bonused. And that's why in most altercations or interactions with any of these jarhead types, you're going to get an automatic trump up to assaulting a police officer. They love that one. They punch you in the mouth and they charge you with assaulting a police officer because your jaw hurt their hand.
Yeah, and the last thing, remember, too, in defense of the cops, because I grew up with so many wonderful cops and so many nasty, dirty cops, there are a lot of dangerous people out there on the road, and these cops never know when they're going to get their head blown off. And so I do want to, in memory of those fallen police officers who have died, good or bad, I want to honor them, and I want everybody to know that these cops do deal with some nasty-ass, mean-ass people out there in the world. Everybody's not sweet and kind and good and angelic.
And see, what you're talking about are the original ideals, Kiler. These are the original ideals we were raised with, and what we're dealing with now are a bunch of jarheads that are jacked up on God mode, and they're trained accordingly, and they're hired deliberately ignorant. It just came out that it's now they're not going to follow the policy of hiring prisoner or criminals and drug addicts, et cetera, anymore. I mean, they were actually actively recruiting within these circles of people. Guys, what are you expecting to get there? Are you expecting to get someone, quote, law-abiding, unquote, individual that is forthright in their morals and upright integrity? Or are you going to get another typical jarhead that's more interested in how much hardware they can carry and how much damage they can do to somebody? And I do.
Exactly.
I fear for a lot of cops inside having to deal with these monkeys. And there was a police lieutenant from, I believe it was North Carolina, was on, I think it was a Pete Santilli show, and I catch a few of his every so often. He's pretty funny, and boy, he's got passion. Anyway, and he talked to this guy, and this lieutenant I think he had just retired because he was done with it, and he was afraid of these jarheads. And they were talking about Department of Homeland Security coming in and recruiting, for DHS and whatever. And it was all the jarheads that wanted it. and they're the ones that they were looking for. The ones that like to just go out and bust heads because, well, apparently they have the authority to, because some shiny badge and a robotic Nazi black uniform tells them it's okay.
And there are cops that are afraid of cops, and that's a shame, too. There's the cop afraid of cop syndrome out there. There's cops that are terrified of their partners. They're terrified of their own partners.
Oh, exactly. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much time we have left because the clocks aren't synced here, and, of course, anyway, the screen's a bit muddled on my computer. But I just wanted to...
3 minutes on Navy time. 3 minutes on Navy time.
Okay, I just want to do a great big thank you to Critical Mass Radio for giving us this platform. Paul, Lisa, and the crew at Critical Mass, thank you so much for giving us a voice 7 nights a week. And you're going to hear people like myself, Kate of Gaia. We have Tony Z. We have Kiler Davenport, Santo Bonacci, Jordan Maxwell. Actually, didn't make it last night. He emailed me today as he'd forgot about it. He got busy. No problem. We have Tammy Pepperman and Pat Chuli on Thursday nights. Soon to have Greg of In5D joining us on the Monday nights. And don't forget, Tony and myself, and a lot of times Santo, do the QL television with Johnny Guzman, that this Brian Coney Bear seems to be in love with. And we do that's a video interview, so always a lot of fun on those shows. So don't forget, 7 nights a week. And tomorrow night we got, I guess it'll be an Outside the Box or Cosmic. I don't know what the hell I'm going to call it, but whatever. Tomorrow night from 8 until 10, and from 10 until midnight Eastern Standard Time, Kiler Davenport will be on. I'll make sure all the links are up on Facebook for everybody. They're already posted now, so if you want to save them, go ahead. If not, I put up the reminders anyway. And I wanted to thank everybody, Jim, Gloria, thank you so much for calling in, guys. And, of course, big thank you to Tony. Thank you for calling in. And, of course, the man of the hour, who the show was named after, where Eagles Soar, Kiler Davenport. So
y'all are just wonderful, Katie. I love all y'all.
Well, we're doing our best, Kiler. We've got a big job to do, and we got a lot of love to share. And we got a lot of people to awaken, and we got a lot of truth to find. We've found a lot, and we're sharing every bit that we do find. And it's only because of things like this that we can get it out there. And the listeners, we got the best listeners on the planet. We got the most awake people. We really do. I get the messages all the time, and it's just glorious. And a big shout out to Blake. Oh, man, you made me laugh. I've got so many cool friends.
30 seconds on Navy time here.
10 seconds, actually, but that's okay. So, well, we'll roll into the off-air here for a minute or so. But any final comments you guys want to make?
Just great.
No, I just want to say, go ahead, Tony.
Great to be back, and thanks, guys, for listening. Try and take something out from this information and give it to somebody else. The more you do that, the better it gets. The quicker the information gets out into the ether, and the more you can help those people that are not quite as clued up as you to be a bit more clued up.
Perfect.
And, they will help others in return. It's all about helping each other. So help each other wake up, yeah? God bless.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you, and we're going to be simulcasting on 3 different platforms here pretty soon, so that's going to be kind of cool. I'll actually be on video while I'm on As Eagles Soar. That's going to be kind of weird. I don't know how that's going to work out yet, but we'll see. The voices are all going to be there, but my ugly mug will be there actually talking into the microphone as if we're all together. So I just want to experiment and see how that works.
It's going to be fun. Gloria, Jim, any comments you guys make before we log off here?
No, it's just everybody just keep voicing. I call it screaming from the mountaintops. Nobody's going to shut me up.
I know that. And Jim, any final comments for me, my friend?
Oh boy, just everybody, think for the best, and and hopefully we can get all through this, in one piece.
We will. We will.
Oh, Jim. We will.
Yeah, bad things, not on my watch. Well, again, thank you everyone for tuning in to Where Eagles Soar here on Saturday nights, the wild ride night of the week. Special thanks to everybody for just being who you are, making the difference, and what Tony said, get the word out, share it, And if you haven't got the voice to share it, just toss them a link, and I guarantee you this two-spirit will definitely shake your universe up. And I know Kiler and Tony and Santa and the rest of us will as well. So just
send
keep
me
that
your
in mind.
song. Send me your song.
I'm going to put up my music link on my Facebook, so just grab the link. There's 15 songs there you can download.
Have you heard mine?
Yeah, I think you did. You sent me some stuff.
Okay.
That was a while back. Yeah.
Send me your stuff. Put it up on your page and I'll grab it later.
Okay. Well, much love to everybody, and we'll probably talk tomorrow anyway, Kiler. So take care, guys. Tony, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And
hi, Tony.
Thanks again for tuning in. I'm going to have to refresh this page because I can't get to the end episode because the callers drop off. That's the problem with this. So everyone's going to get the bitch rant from Kate as to why I get so pissed off at this program sometimes. What happens is when a caller drops off, there's a bar goes up across the screen to say caller dropped off. And the way my computer's laid out, I can't get to the close, the little X to close it. So as 3 or 4 times drops off, it keeps building a bar down the page. So what it was doing was covering up the time left. It's covered up the end episode and what have you. So
can't you grab the top bar and pull it down?
No, can't do it. Not on this computer. Okay, well I've got it now. So again, thanks guys for being here, listeners. You rock, the best in the world. I'm
out of here. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Cosmic Blueprint Box, synchronistically speaking, blah, blah, blah. Love you all.
Good night.